Candidate name Prezi. Candidate number 0013. Center number IN883. Question: Is it right to put ban on the export of e-waste from developed countries to developing? This essay is about whether there should be a ban on the exporting of e-waste. First of all, I would like to clarify the term e-waste as to avoid unnecessary perplexity. E-waste is an abbreviation of electronic waste. This refers to any electronic devices, such as mobile phones, computers, televisions. Also the less recognized, such as washing machines, toys, and cooking appliances. There should also be consideration on the word waste, which implies that the object has no further use and rejected as useless or excess in its current condition. I would now like to show the significance of e-waste. This will give context to the overall argument and also help in determining if a ban on e-waste is right. E-waste generation is increasing at a rate of 5 to 10% annually. It is estimated that in 2014, 41.8 million tons of e-waste was generated globally. This is a very large amount and display not only of the greatness of this problem, but also shows that it doesn't seem to be getting any better, but rather worse with time. Also reported that in May 2015, 90% of the world's electronic waste, which is worth about $19 million, was illegally traded and dumped. This also shows both the severity of e-waste management and the potential need of a law to ban trade. While these numbers are from the most reliable sites I could find, a problem posed is that they are just rough estimations, since the real amount of e-waste, due to illegal transport and those just kept at home, the real quantity cannot be measured. Now that the significance of e-waste is noted, I would like to consider both opposing sides of the argument and at last reach my own conclusion from the findings and research that I have proposed. A basic assumption against ban on e-waste is that the economic benefits of e-waste from developed countries outweigh any health and environmental problems created by it. I would like to start off by assessing the argument posed by those that are against the ban. The article that I looked into first was document 1 from the pre-release material booklet. This is by Jeffrey Kluger in Time, a US magazine. The source seems to be generally reliable due to it being a respected magazine, and moreover, Jeffrey is senior editor of technology department, so he should have good knowledge in the functioning of technology. Here the author gives an example of a country to which e-waste is being sent, Ghana. Even though the current disadvantages of such a system are given, the main reason for continuing of export of e-waste to Ghana and other developing countries is that a country as well as the people profit from it. Out of the 215,000 tons of electronics imported to Ghana, 70% is used and destined for the trash heap. This is not left alone there though. 100,000 cell phones contain an estimate of $130,000 worth of scrap gold, $100,000 worth of copper, and $27,000 silver, totaling in about $250,000. This estimation, though, is for phones in good condition, and only metals possible to extract by locals are taken. Nevertheless, communities still rely on this as a source of income, and since the government can't provide for them in any other way, this process is continued. The image shown is a child of Ghana taking electronic components from a laptop, which he will then sell onwards. For the people in developing countries with high population and less jobs, e-waste import can be critical for them. The argument comes to the conclusion that any solution must recognize the people's role and improve the standards of their work and health, so people in need of work can continue to do it, but in a way that's safer for them and their surroundings. A second source that I considered is an article by BBC News, written by Aidan Lewis, article named Europe Exporting Electronic Waste Despite Ban. Although no information about the author is given, the source itself can be concluded relatively reliable due to BBC being a respected website and content usually credible. The issue raised in the article is that a ban on e-waste won't help. An example is of the European communities given, which adopted the Basel Convention in 1994. The Basel Convention is an international treaty that was designed to reduce movement of hazardous waste between nations, especially hazardous waste from developed countries to developing. It entered into force 1992, and of 2015, 182 countries and the European Union are parties of the convention. This bans the export of hazardous waste from outside of Europe. Rotterdam, Europe's busiest port, checked for illegal exporting. However, only 3% of total containers are checked. So on average, one shipment could be caught in a week, which would be several containers holding about 800 monitors each. An unknown amount gets through due to it being still illicit trade. This includes that a ban will not help until strictly reinforced. This is where the main problem occurs. America, which has not ratified the Basel Convention, and European Union has, but both still contribute greatly to e-waste export. Not just EU, but according to ewaste.com, Australia has also signed the Basel Convention, but e-waste export is increasing each year. Source 2 eventually comes to the conclusion that the rules are only partially effective, and in technology companies provide technology that is easy to recycle and end the need to send waste to developing countries to avoid expenses in recycling, e-waste is still going to continue. A ban will not help. The third source is from a book called Electronic Impact in the United States from Banning Hazardous Electronic Waste Exports. This was written by Hassan Farah Ahmed, who is a Master of Science in Economics, so seems reliable and just in the information given. The data is from 2005, and although it is 10 years ago, this is the most accurate data found. The book shows data of how much it would cost the USA to recycle all the e-waste which was sent out in 2005. At current time, the numbers will be multiples of that given in the book. Data considers CPU, CRT, and other, which includes all forms of e-waste. The data shows and represented in this table cost of exporting e-waste in 2005 ranges from 114.4 million to 130 million, while recycling the same amount of e-waste would cost 234.4 million to 442.9 million. These values are from 10 years ago, and now the cost of recycling has gone higher, much higher, due to compact devices and a larger quantity of devices and more expensive labor. This concludes to show that for developed countries, it is much cheaper to export e-waste than to recycle. This is the main reason it is done and will continue until recycling is made cheaper. Now I shall consider the other side of the argument. The following three sources are in favor of the ban of exporting e-waste from developed countries to developing. Key assumption on this side of the argument is sending waste to developing countries is morally wrong, and by doing so it is taking advantage of the poor people in developing countries who do not have a say. The first article is from WHO. This is a relatively reliable source as the information given is from reliable sources and a large platform website. The Basel Convention Network reports children of all ages in developing worlds throwing electronics in dumps, working in slums, and getting exposed to various hazardous chemicals such as lead, cadmium, chromium, brominated flame retardants. This may be inhaled during the burning of e-waste to extract precious chemicals or accumulation of chemicals in soil, water, and food. Second source, Population Reference Bureau, supports the first by giving a number of health complications that e-waste can cause. Written by Lucy McAllister, who is PhD in Environment Studies at University of Colorado Boulder. Deemed reliable and justified due to good education position, giving better position to judge problems, as well as all sources reliable references. Shows residents of Guna, China are known to have substantial digestive, neurological, respiratory, and bone problems, such as cold, influenza, or flu. This concludes to show the negative effects of e-waste on health of people, and both sources conclude that there are severe risks of e-waste to people and environment, and we should stop accumulation of e-waste in a single area. My third source is United Nations University news article written in 2010. This evidence given is reliable, as all of it is from official report released by UNEP. This source also raises another reason why exporting e-waste to developing countries has to stop at some point. Report shows that informal recycling markets in India, China, Pakistan, Vietnam, and Philippines handle between 50 to 80% of all e-waste produced. Some of these countries, however, are economically growing very rapidly themselves, especially Asian countries with high population like India and China. This growth in turn leads to them producing more e-waste themselves. While currently in India, an estimated 70% of e-waste that is handled is imported from developed countries, the UNEP estimates that between 2007 and 20, domestic television e-waste will double, computer e-waste will increase 5 times, and cell phone 18 times. Not just India, but South Africa and China are predicted to increase e-waste of computers by 200 to 400% by the year 2020 from 2007. The article comes to the basic conclusion that developing national recycling schemes is complex and difficult and not going to work. Countries should establish recycling centers that are of good quality and take in mind both environmental and health hazards, though it is shown for some countries like China this is neglected due to competition from low-cost informal sectors compared to more advanced and expensive e-waste management sectors. Another line of argument is presented by Document 2 of pre-released sources. An article from the New York Times, a Rwandese newspaper written in February 2013. This article is unique in the sense that the perspective comes straight from a developing country. Views are of people who are truly affected by e-waste export rather than international bodies making decisions for many. It claims that governments should ban importation of used or second-hand donations. It claims donations to be waste management system by the donors. The conclusion is what interested me the most. It concludes not only that Rwanda should plan ahead by putting in place modern recycling plants and disposable plants to take care of this new e-menace, it also claims that we deserve better than being an e-dumping ground. This makes a very distinctive point of the argument in two ways. First is calling e-waste e-menace. This shows the hostility the people have against developed nations dumping waste in their country. The main point is the second one. It shows perspective of people living in developing countries. People living there have no say due to poverty or neglectance. E-waste is being sent to their homes, filling their streets and potentially fatal consequences on their health. All this without their permission, and when they are expected to cope with the effects. A final line of argument is considered by both sides of the debate is a major issue with e-waste which relates to companies that produce the electronics. Both sides show a major fault in electronic companies. Document 1 considers the difficulty with what electronics are recycled. Due to electronics getting thinner and more compact, electronics are getting harder to recycle, whether this is in developing countries or developed. Technology companies take our products more and more recently, with toxic material harder to extract. This happens due to devices ever slimming and compact design. While it is hard to make a just decision between doing what is good for the people or for environment in developing countries or the long-term economic benefits of sending e-waste, I've come to the conclusion that e-waste exports should not be banned, rather regulated. I think we should stop thinking of e-waste as a result of particular developed or developing countries only, because as United Nations University article suggests, e-waste production is increasing everywhere around the globe. People think of this problem not as one of individual countries, but as a problem of human society. Once we do this, we can tackle this problem with unity. I think two things should be done to lessen the effect of e-waste. Modern recycling plants should be made not only in developed countries, but also in developed. For developing countries which can't afford this due to reasons in Document 1, developed countries should donate and help in the production of modern recycling plants that are both safe for human health and for the environment. The second thing that should be done is the role of electronic companies. They should make products which are easier to recycle after death. Also, either an alternative should be researched for toxic material used or should be specially designed to be extracted easily. The second thing that should be done is a role of electronic companies. They should make products which recycle easily after death. Also, either an alternative should be researched for toxic materials used or should be specially designed to be extracted easily. People in developing countries do deserve to be better than an e-dumping site. Doing so would reduce the cost of e-recycling, making it more affordable. I think these solutions are not very difficult to accomplish given the great intellectualness of humans. The only thing needed is ambition to drive us forward. Attacking e-waste with unity will allow us to target the actual problem and bring an end to e-waste. Thank you.